You are a boy that is stuck inside a man's body and has never truly grown up. You might have had to grow up too soon, or you might have never been fulfilled with love when you were a little boy. You experienced childhood trauma, and now it means that you react to certain things in specific ways, and there is absolutely no shame in any of this being true to you. As children, we should have been taken care of by our parents. We had no other choice. But the fact may be that our parents didn't know how to take care of us, and only did what they thought was right, but it only detrimented us. This has surely happened to me, and has likely happened to you too, even if you don't realize it yet. You certainly shouldn't lose hope, because here's what you need to know. Using me as an example, my mother was very upset that my father was away working for weeks at a time, and her upset feelings turned into anger and she took it out on me, which means that I still have an uncommon emotional reaction when someone gets angry at me or shouts at me. And I've only recently recognised this childhood trauma as a fact, and I've started to speak up when there is injustice or when I'm being treated badly, even if the other person is angry or is shouting. And not so much childhood, but at the start of secondary school, I was basically ridiculed for being stupid in terms of everything, which meant that I started keeping only to myself. I never spoke up to anyone, I never said anything unless I was asked, and I've only recently started to recover from that. And there are many more examples of childhood trauma that may apply to you, and here are some examples. Someone raising their voice or getting angry, seeking validation from everyone you care about, latching onto any attention you get from women, pushing everyone that you care about away, substance abuse or addictions, and seeking specific types of comfort, like comfort eating or comfort from watching porn. And once again, there is absolutely no shame in you relating to any of these. There is only shame if you know you have childhood trauma and do not deal with it. Yes, it will certainly be very hard to deal with, but you not dealing with it means that only you and your closest people suffer. The main point being, things might happen in your childhood that might have been not severe enough to be called trauma, but there's a high chance that something from your childhood is still affecting you at least a little bit to this very day. And pattern recognition from your childhood means that you may expect a negative outcome from a normal situation. This is even more true since your brain is very plastic when you're young, and it means that you would very quickly learn a specific pattern of things to normally happen. For example, you touch fire, it burns and hurts you, you know not to do it again. You annoy a dog too much and it bites you, you know not to annoy it again. And you would need to be burnt or bit by a dog more than once to know not to do it again. So by extension, you might have been in a mundane situation, but it might have caused a negative response in the other person, and it might have been negative enough to the point where you knew not to do it again, even though you did nothing wrong. Again, using me as an example, I had a hard time sticking up for myself, because I was always ridiculed on things that I knew I shouldn't have been ridiculed about. So I stopped sticking up for myself because I always felt shit after I did so, even though I shouldn't have got any shit. And so you understand the variety of ways that childhood trauma may present itself. And so how do you deal with it? Journal the same way you do every day, except don't speak to your subconscious, speak to your inner child. Imagine you could go back in time and talk to yourself when you were little and going through the trauma that you went through, and give your younger self all the love and support that you needed and should have got. Basically, act like a parent for your younger self that you should have had. Understand that everything that happened in your childhood is behind you and there is no reason for any of it to come back. Accept everything that happened and understand why everyone did what they done. It might have been that they didn't know any other way to let out their emotions, and they unfortunately came out onto you. They might have genuinely thought that what they were doing was the best possible thing for you. Or if something truly evil happened, understand and accept that some people know they are doing wrong but do not care about it. They feel a thrill when exercising their power, or they want a shortcut to something and they don't care if they do bad things to get it. Whatever it is, understand, accept, and forgive. And don't think forgiving means that you let your guard down. Forgiving means that you let go of the emotional and mental load that the person who caused the trauma has burdened you with. You forgive someone so you can benefit, and so you have no more hate for that other person. Because hate is like you drinking poison and hope that the other person dies. It is of no benefit to you to express hate, as it only takes away time, energy, and attention away from you. However, your trauma may be attached to a memory or an event and not a person, in which case you still need to understand and accept everything that happened, in addition to exposing yourself to that previous trauma, step by step for as much as you are comfortable with. My story about this is one day when I was going to pick up my girlfriend from work and I was running late. There was a van in front of me and I was trying to overtake it the entire way there, until we got to a straight stretch of road where I was finally able to overtake. And I was so focused on trying to overtake this van that I didn't realise the road we were driving on was gravel. So I pulled out to the side of the van, put the foot down and overtook the van. And while pulling back in front of the van, my rear wheel started to skid, and I would have ended up in a hedge down the side of the road if I didn't control my car. And that whole event truly made me scared to drive down that road again. And I didn't drive down it for a while again until I realised how much of a mental burden it was causing me. So I eventually did drive down that road again, taking my sweet time and ensuring that nothing bad would happen this time. And guess what? The mental burden got lifted for me and I wasn't scared to drive down that road again. But that was my personal experience and it may not be the same for you. Someone else in my situation might have been affected much more and someone else not at all. The main point is to take it step by step and as far as you are comfortable. Absolutely do not compare yourself to how someone else dealt with their trauma or how little trauma they may have. Instead, compare yourself today to who you were yesterday and try to be better than that yesterday self. So I really do hope that I was able to help your trauma at least a little bit, or help you understand what general direction you need to take with this. This is of course no substitute for proper help with your problems. If you have serious underlying issues or undealt trauma, please do seek a professional counsellor, therapist or psychologist. And I'll say this once more, there's absolutely no shame in having trauma or asking help from anyone about it. Because you asking for help means that you're building up the best version of yourself by dealing with your deep-rooted problems. And you living as the best version of yourself means that you become a better man for yourself, your closest people, and the entire world.